and from YouTube. So, um, if you are not following me on all those channels, please go over there and find me on Facebook. I am at Career Success Strategies. You could just do facebook.com and search for my business, Career Success Strategies. On YouTube, it's at Beverly Smith Resumes. And I'm there. And then, of course, on LinkedIn, it's Beverly D. Smith. So follow me there and make sure that you are clicking that bell to get notified. So, anyway, as I'm letting everyone join in, make sure that you say hello in the comments. Let me know where you're joining in from. And just some little housekeeping. If you're joining me from Facebook, please go to go to StreamYard.com/Facebook and give Facebook the reason I ask you to do that is if you leave me a comment, then what happens is it just says Facebook user. So go to StreamYard.com/Facebook and give them permission to talk to each other. So I'm glad that you are joining us. And if you're catching this on the replay, leave me a comment and say #replay. If you have questions, be sure to tag me in it if you're watching the replay. That way it will notify me. Staffing and recruiting firm. So I know firsthand what hiring managers are looking for. And I put that knowledge to work now, helping mid and senior level professionals build their resumes, work on their job search strategies so that they can land the career of their dreams. Now, if you joined us last week, we talked all about personal branding and how to use that to enhance your job search. And if you did not catch that, you are more than welcome to go back to YouTube, go to at Beverly Smith Resumes, and check that out. And it will be my last episode. I'll be up there on the live tab, and make sure that you check that out. This week, I know that a lot of you are tuning in because you are interested to know all about the job boards. And I know so many people are frustrated. They want to know why they're not landing interviews. And we're going to talk about that today. We're going to talk about why you're not landing those interviews. We're going to talk about the pros and cons of even using the job boards. And then more importantly, we'll wrap up with how to eliminate the time suck and to be able to use them more efficiently. Now, y'all, I've had people tell me that they have literally applied to over 100 jobs and gotten nothing. That's disturbing. I've had another person just recently, I received an email from someone, and she said that she applied for this position and immediately got an email saying that it had been filled, but she kept noticing that it's still on their website and it's still showing up on job boards, several of them. And so she's like, what gives? Are these even real positions? And I know that this is true for a lot of you because those are just a couple of examples, but I can tell you time after time, I hear from people. So if you are having frustrations with job boards, leave me a yes in the comments and let me know. And again, if you're catching this on the replay, #replay, yes, I'm having trouble with those job boards. I hope that you get a lot of information from today's episode and that you come away better prepared and armed with good information that's going to help you put those job boards to work for you and make them where you get good results from them. So let's move forward because I know you're eagerly awaiting. First, I want to talk about the reasons you might not be landing interviews. And there's a few reasons. One, it actually could be your resume. If your resume is not formatted correctly, and if it gets lost when it's uploaded, because you're literally applying online, your information is going into someone's database. And if you upload your resume and you've used a template that has graphic or boxes on it, it has um, fonts that are a little not typical. The bullets don't load correctly. I mean, there could be several reasons, but a lot of times what we're finding is that templates are not necessarily formatted to work with the applicant tracking system or the database. So important information can be being left off there. Another thing about your resume is it could actually be too generic and making it hard for someone to pull the pieces together or for you to even come up in the search. So, what I mean by that is you need to make sure that your resume is targeted for that position that you're applying for and it has the right keywords. Each resume you upload needs to be tailored to that position and help the reader see how you are a match for that job posting. And honestly, before it even gets to the human reader, you want to make sure that you're using the right language. So it's going to be helpful for you to target each resume and tweak it a little bit. And we'll talk a little bit more about that here later on. But this is when, y'all, it's really helpful to work with a professional resume writer because what we do is we ensure that your resume is formatted correctly. At Career Success Strategies, we actually create custom resumes for each one of our clients. And we don't use templates. So we know that they're going to be formatted in a way that's going to be uploaded. And all of our team are certified and trained on how to do this. Additionally, we also teach you how to take that professionally written resume, that career document that you've gotten, and tweak it just minorly for each one of those positions. And yes, I know that's a little extra work on your end when you're applying online, but we'll talk about that in down the road here on this episode where that can actually be helpful for you. I will just throw out if the idea of having your resume written professionally is of interest to you, I'm going to put a link in the chat and you can definitely schedule a complimentary consultation with me and we can talk a little bit more about your specific situation. So let me move back over to continue on. There's another reason too that you may not be getting interviews as well from the job boards when you've been applying. So what a lot of people don't realize is by the time a business actually posts that position online, on a job board externally, it's reached its most competitive phase of the company's search process. So companies naturally are going to start with candidates they already have on file that are already in their database. They're going to start there. They're also going to post that position internally and give those people that are on their team the opportunity to apply or submit referrals. There's a lot of companies right now that are paying referral bonus to their own employees if they submit someone that is they end up hiring. And so one of the reasons companies do this is just like you and I are going to tend to do business with someone that was referred to us, companies follow that same philosophy. So good people tend to associate with other good people. So it's just natural to start with that low hanging fruit that may be just ripe and enough and ready to make that job move. So I'll just add, this is why it's really important that networking be part of your job search strategy and not rely solely on the job boards. And another thing too is LinkedIn. If you're using the job board there, if you've ever noticed, when you look at a position, it will tell you how many people have already applied and let you know realistically what you're up against. And I've seen positions that have 400 applicants already. So, you may want to really think, is this something I want to apply for? And, spend a lot of time on, because 400, they're going to have to go through a lot of people before they get to you. So just a thought there. I want to first, let me check and see if anybody's got any questions. I don't see anything yet, but let's talk about the pros and cons of using a job board. Now, some of the pros are it's a great research tool. I love to use a job board to research. You can get ideas about the type of roles that are out there and what companies are seeking in a prime candidate for a role that you're interested in. It also can provide you with a springboard to alternate titles and roles that your skills match to. So you can create searches on those titles as well. So again, great research tool. Another pro about using the job board, and it kind of falls along the lines of research, but you could use these sample roles to show your professional resume writer what types of positions that you want to target. So you know how it is, you'll find a job posting and you'll read through the description and you go, oh my gosh, I know that I am perfect for that role. And then you're going, okay, but how do I communicate that I am? Well, the good news is a professional writer can look at your work history. They can take that sample job posting that you've given them. Then they can ask you the right questions, which enables them to unearth the value that you could add to a company that's looking to hire someone in that role. And when they do that, they use that to express it through an engaging career narrative and really makes you stand out among other candidates. So again, if you're working with a professional resume writer, make sure that you're giving them, you don't need to inundate them with 10 samples. That's too much. Unless you've got different positions that you want to apply for, but that, I mean, like completely different roles. And then you may want to talk to that writer about doing 2 different resumes for you to address those 2 different roles based on your skill set. So again, so using that sample role. Another pro is your resume or your application becomes part of the company's candidate pool. So remember, I said a while ago how companies are going to often start with their own database first. So if you've applied online with them, don't be surprised if you get contacted months later for maybe a different but related role, because maybe they didn't select you, maybe they never got to you, or maybe you didn't have the right keywords for that role, but your keywords popped up. So again, it does put you in the running there for possible future positions. So just know that when you're applying to these hundreds of positions, if you're guilty of doing that in the past, you may actually end up being called later. I know it's happened to me, and I know it's happened to a lot of people that I know, where you just kind of get this random call and you're like, oh yeah. And so, and before you if you're already have accepted a job, just kind of a side note, you may want to hear them out and see what they're offering and see if it's something you want to learn more about. So another pro is your when you use a job board, it could be a springboard for your job search. And what I mean by that is you see a position online and maybe you're thinking to yourself, okay, who do I know within this company that I can contact and ask about it? And if you know someone, you definitely should do that. I know I've personally done that before. I have I've done that when I'm a recruiter and I've seen roles pop up. I'll call and say, "Hey, what's up with this role? Tell me a little bit more about it. What are you looking for? Can I help you with it?" But in addition to that, I mean, even when I've looked for jobs, I've done that and I've seen other people do that. I know of other people. And so the cool thing about that is then that goes back to that whole referral thing. Maybe that person in the company can make an introduction for you personally, and you can leapfrog your way above those 100 other people who've already applied for it and get a call back because Steve over in this company knows you and knows you personally and recommends you. And they're like, oh, yeah, we want to talk to somebody that he recommends because we know what kind of great employee he is. So those are our pros. Let's talk a little bit about our cons. Let's see. Do I have any comments on that? Not seeing anything, but y'all, if you have comments, make sure, or questions, make sure you leave those in the comments for me. Okay. Here's a big con. According to Career Crossroads, which is a recruiting site, only 12% of all hires can be attributed to job boards. And there's been some other studies that I'm aware of where that figure is even lower. So just know those are the odds you're up against. Now, while posting your resume on a job board, you know how some of them, Indeed is one that comes to mind, but you have the opportunity just to upload your resume, and it goes out to thousands of employers, or it goes into a database, and if they have access to that database, they can search for you. And there's a couple of caveats to this. That's why I've got it in my con list. I guess in a way that could be a pro, but it can push you towards employers that maybe they're in a location you're not interested in. Maybe it's positions you're not interested in. And so, and I'll tell you too, I speak from experience here as a recruiter. These resumes, if you've got access to that database, oftentimes we skim through them really quick because when we're pulling them up, we're pulling up keywords, and it doesn't always do a really good job of serving up the candidates that we're looking for with those keywords. And so it can be really frustrating on our end. So we'll scroll through that and we'll look at them quickly and see if it's a match. And again, if you're going to do this, you want to make sure that your resume is somewhat targeted, but no, it can't be too specifically targeted as well, because it's just kind of going into a generic phase. But you do want to have a resume that at least is going to tell your career narrative in an engaging story that stands out. So just that. I want to mention too, another frustration that I observed as a recruiter from the employers that I worked with, and this might shed some light for you as to one of the cons of the job boards. I've spoken to so many of them who've just said, I am so frustrated with the job boards. I put this position up and I've gotten nobody. Now, they may say they've gotten, though, hundreds of applicants, and they go through, and when they post that position, y'all, what happens is every Tom, Dick, and Harry that applies to that position, whether they're qualified or not. And so you've got to start weeding through all of these people that are not even remotely qualified. You cannot understand why they even applied for that position. And it's a total waste of their time. And so they get through it. They may narrow it down to a handful, and, 3 of them they can never get in touch with. And the other 3, 2 of them can't pass their employer screenings, and one of them completely ghosts them, which, I mean, can't blame them for their own experiences they're having with the job boards as well. So it's kind of like this weird thing where you've got employers over here getting mad at the job boards, and you've got good candidates getting mad at the job boards. And for the employers, it's even more frustrating because they're the ones that are usually paying to use the job boards, and to not get any candidates is a terrible ROI. And so I think, in my opinion, that's why you don't see a lot of really good results, because they're looking for other ways to recruit. So just my 2 cents there. And and I also think too, many of them just kind of look at it as it's kind of a last ditch effort on their part. So another con, and we kind of talked about this in the beginning, is those job postings on the job boards may be outdated. They've already been filled through their internal hiring process. They've been told, you need to go post that online. They post it, they forget to take it down. And especially, this is true of really busy HR departments that maybe doesn't have a dedicated talent acquisition specialist. And even, I mean, I can remember, of course, we were external recruiters, but you have those weeks where you are so slam busy. And then, we tried to make that part of our regular process to get those outdated ones off of the website and the job board, so that people aren't getting frustrated and hiring for that. So just know that that does happen as well. Or they may be going through the candidates they have, and so they're just leaving it up for now, just in case they need to fall back on it. So that's kind of what's happening there. Finally, the other con is there are some companies that will post jobs that don't even exist. I'm sorry. It's just the way it is. That's not good business. I don't subscribe to that, but sometimes what they're doing is they're fishing just to see, hey, if we decide to create this position, what kind of interest are we going to be able to generate from it? So that could be part of it too, that they don't really have a real job, but there's a potential for one. So I don't know, maybe you could give them a little bit of a pass for that, but I know it's very frustrating. I had another thought and I lost it. Maybe it'll come back to me. So we'll just move along. Let's talk about, I'm going to double check and see if we have any questions. I don't see anything right now. Let's talk about what I know you're waiting for is how to use them effectively. So while the job boards, in my opinion, are largely ineffective time wasters, there are strategies. It's good news, y'all. There are strategies that you can use to use them effectively and avoid the time suck. So let's talk about some of these. Number one, I've got 8 strategies for you here. So if you don't have a chance to get these all down, now you can go back and catch the replay and take notes if you want to. So number one, make sure that you're setting up alerts and use clear criteria of what it is you're looking for. So that way you can get notifications in your emails, and you're not going down that whole rabbit hole, and you can just focus on the jobs that are being sent to you. So when I say set up clear criteria, if you want a remote job, make sure you've got remote only and you don't have hybrid or, your local area. Or if you're wanting to relocate, this is a great tool for you. Use that, put that in there. Other things that you can put in there are maybe you want a contract position. Maybe you want a part-time position. Maybe you want one that is, well, I guess that contract is what I'm thinking of, but or you are looking at full-time. So make sure you designate those things so you get good alerts. And you may have to tweak that a little bit. You may find you're getting some alerts that are like a little too broad. And so you can go back and play with that as well. But that's your first way to make them effective and keep you from wasting a lot of time. So number 2, make it easy for recruiters to contact you. So what I mean by this is if there is an option for you to opt in for text messages, then by all means, please use this, because that's telling me that that recruiter, their first line is maybe to send out a text message to you. So they're not, just so you'll know, they're not doing this. They actually have software that they can type into. They may have kind of a generic thing, and it's a lot faster for them than sending each person an email. So they can, if you have that text message option, use it. The other thing that I will add to this that will really help you save some time and probably eliminate a ton of frustration is if they do reach out to you, you need to get back in touch with them ASAP. Do not let that message sit. If they text you, or if they've emailed you, or if they've called you, make sure you call them back, get back in touch with them, follow whatever communication they've asked you, and let them know. Because I want to tell you, trust me, these recruiters are not sitting on their hands waiting for you to respond, even if you're the most perfect candidate ever. I promise. Now, a few weeks ago, I did an episode on working with recruiters, and one of the things we talked about in that episode is recruiters don't get paid until they fill a position, and they are paid by these client companies they work with. And so if they cannot afford to sit there and wait, and you may check every single box, but if you're going to wait, even to the next morning to respond to them, don't do it. You're going to be surprised when I tell you this, but there are some recruiters that are working at night. So if you get a text message at 9 at night and you check it, respond as soon as you see that text message. Also, this is just kind of wasn't even on my list, but it just came to me. I would encourage you to have a dedicated email account to job search, and make it a Gmail or an iCloud account or a Mac account. Use something current. Create it specifically for your job search. That way you don't have to risk emails getting lost. So wasn't going to include that one. You got that one for free. Number 3, ensure that your resume is targeted to the position that you're applying for. And we've already discussed this, I know, but I want to kind of reiterate this to you. Yes, guys, this is going to take you a little bit more time. But it is a much better use of your time than spraying and praying that one generic resume or that one resume that you have designed, for that position that doesn't quite connect the dots. So what I mean here is you want to go in, adjust the keywords, use relevant language to demonstrate that you are a match. So definitely that, while it may seem like it's creating, more work and time consuming, if you're doing the other things and you're not going down the rabbit hole and you're setting up your alerts and doing some of these other things I've talked about, it's not really that much more. And you're going to want to tweak your resume anyway if you want to really showcase how you stand out. Okay, number 4, and we also discussed this one, but it's formatting. So most resume templates use text boxes and tables that can't be read by their database or the applicant tracking system. And we've all seen them. They actually look kind of pretty, but they're kind of a graphic-y resume that has a real pretty column on the left, and it's usually in color, and it might have something across the top that's another text box, and you've got this list of stuff over here, and then you've got different jobs here. This is a great resume maybe if you're networking in person, or maybe you're applying for a board position, or where you need to have that type of resume. It's not going to upload very well, and honestly, I'm going to tell you they're a little bit difficult to read because your eye is kind of going over here, it's going over here, it's going here and here. So it's hard for the applicant tracking system to read, and it's hard for the human eye to read. So keep that in mind. Again, you may want to consider working with a professionally written or a professional resume writer and have yours professionally written so that you don't have to fight that issue. Okay. Number 5. We're getting there, folks. Sorry. This is getting long. I knew I had a lot of information. Let me just double check the questions. Okay, I don't see any questions, but got some people saying, wow, baby, wow. Okay. Hello to you. So thank you for joining. Let me know too. Again, those of you who are watching this on the replay, make sure you use hashtag replay and tag me if you have questions so that I get notified as well. So, okay, let's move along. Number 5, set up a tracking system. Track your movements online in order to stay organized. So, you can do this by just keeping a simple spreadsheet, and it's just going to help you stay on top of your applications and progress. So it's going to help you avoid any frustration or confusion down the road. That way, if you get a call several months later, you can easily pull up your spreadsheet and you can look at your records of that position. You'll know what job board you found it on, what resume you submitted. Because remember, you're going to tweak your resume. You're going to know who the hiring person is, when the position closed, just all the little details about it. And that's just a real simple thing that you can set up and track. Again, that's a tool that I actually provide to my clients once we've written their resume, as they all get a little tracking spreadsheet from us. So, but you definitely want to track your movements online. Number 6, and these final 3 are all going to be related to LinkedIn specifically. So if you're using LinkedIn's job board, note the skills in the position. So when you scroll down, it'll list a series of skills. You can click and see if you match up to those, and if you don't have those skills on your profile, it's going to say, maybe you're not the best match. You only have 3 of the 10 skills that they're looking for. So this is a great tool for you to go and add those skills. Now, please, please, please do not add skills that you don't actually have. That's not good. You'll get discovered. It's not going to help you out in the long run. Little inside secret here. Just because you don't match every single qualification on the job posting does not mean you should not apply. Because a lot of times, if you have, let's say, 4 out of 6, they're still going to probably look at you. So keep that in mind. Number 7. Also, again, on LinkedIn, many times you may have noticed this, but it'll tell you who the recruiter is that's recruiting for this position. It'll have a link to their profile, and it'll have a way for you to message them. This is a great thing. After you apply, you can send them a message and say, hey, I just want to let you know I applied to that position, and you can reiterate your interest in it. So take advantage of that tool. And finally, we're here finally. Number 8, some LinkedIn listings are going to have the option to be notified about other positions within that same company. So if that's a company that is of interest to you, or if they've got that one position that's of interest to you and you want to know more, be sure to use that feature. I would recommend you optimize and use that. And I'll just throw out this to you guys. If you want more tips on how to use LinkedIn, how to get your profile set up and use LinkedIn more effectively to increase your visibility, and that way make the job boards more effective, but just also make them work together, I have created your LinkedIn Success Blueprint, and it's a step-by-step checklist that will help you elevate your job search. And I'm going to put a link to that in the comments. And let's see if that went. There it goes. And be sure to grab that. And if you haven't already, this is a great tool. I will support you when you download this. It's all free to you. And you'll get a series of emails from me that will support you, will direct you to some other videos that will guide you right through the process of using LinkedIn and making yourself work more effectively. And you are quite welcome for that. I am glad. Oh, and I see Wow Wow Baby. That's your name. Okay. So hey to you, and you're quite welcome. And make sure that you grab that. All right. And so today, y'all, we have covered quite a bit of information, and this has gone a lot longer than I typically go. So thank you so much for staying with me. Again, go catch the replay over on YouTube if you want to, at Beverly Smith Runs. And if you want to listen to this again. And as a reminder, you guys, I do work with mid and senior level professionals. My team and I help them with their resume. So if you're ready to invest in a professionally written resume and get your job search off to a great start, then use that link that I put up earlier. I can just put it up again, and you can book a complimentary consultation with me. And next week, I will be back at 12:30 Central Standard Time. So make sure that you mark your calendars and you join me for our live stream next week. And then also, I'm really excited to announce I've got some great guests in the lineup. We're going to be talking about all kinds of cool things. I have got, I'll just throw out, I have Missy Hurd coming back, who is a recruiter, and we are going to talk about more in depth about the ins and outs of working with recruiters. I have Ari Schaefer is coming back, and we're going to talk about a very important topic on ageism. And I believe that one's not scheduled until May, but that is just one of the topics we're going to talk about, dealing with imposter syndrome with another guest, Sonia, that I'm so excited about, because I know a lot of times imposter syndrome can keep us from applying for that job that we should be, making that career move that we should be making. And I'm so excited for her. I've just got a few other guests lined up. I know another one is a lady named Kim, and she is going to talk about getting digitally organized and how that can help you in your current role, in your future role, as well in your job search. So I know you won't want to miss that. That one's going to be the end of March. So just excited about the lineup of guest speakers for the remainder of the quarter and going into Q2. So make sure you join us. So again, thank you so much for hanging with me this whole time. And I will see you next week in my next live stream.